Hey Jeff, how are you?
Good to see you
Good to
again.
see you.
Yeah,
It's been a couple weeks now here.
yeah, a couple weeks since we last saw each other in Singapore, right?
Yes.
Engine Bio discovers and develops new precision medicines through our unique ability to decipher gene networks for new biological insights that lead us to the right targets for the right patients that are defined by genetic biomarkers.
Allay Therapeutics is developing long-lasting combination products for the treatment of post-surgical pain. And the hope is that patients, payers, and physicians all benefit from the ability to allay patients' fear of pain. Our company started in Singapore. We identified some technology that came out of a number of other startups and the universities and decided that we could build a company around it. For the first couple of years, all of our employees were located in Singapore. We had a small incubator here in the Bay Area. And over time, we've grown both regions.
Yeah, it's very interesting because we started the other way, where our founding technologies and scientists were based out in Boston. And very early on, we thought we had this ability to build a more global company by starting some of the first physical functional genomics operations in Singapore itself. But very quickly, we started a second site in the Bay Area and effectively grew at a pretty even pace across both in the last few years, to the point where we're about 50-50 across the two sites. Firstly is, by having these two sites, we're able to see the opportunities with patients and ultimately markets that we wouldn't be able to see if it wasn't in our backyard, right? So certainly the U.S. is absolutely critical for our world of developing new drugs and therapeutics. But Asia represents more than half of the world's population, and actually being situated in a place like Singapore, which in and of itself is really at the intersection of multiple Asian peoples, cultures, gives us a perspective on what the needs are beyond what we could see if we were just necessarily sitting in the U.S. I would say number two is there are some pretty distinct talent pools. I think the third thing is that we really kind of promote creativity and diversity in thought in the company, because we believe that's what it takes ultimately to get to the right solutions and answers. And just by being an international organization, by having that inbuilt diversity, everyone knows that their opinion, their thought is not the only way or necessarily the right way. And I think that's really helpful for us from a cultural perspective as we expand Engine as a single global company.
We've had some similar experiences and have really enjoyed that diversity of opinion. A couple things that I would add on to that have been helpful for us is we go 24/7. With the time zone differences, whether it be to the East Coast, where we have a number of employees who are virtual, to the West Coast here, to Singapore, to China, to Japan, and all the folks that we're talking to, we describe that that's a competitive advantage, not that we work harder than any one company, but we describe that as we're handing off experiences as we go to sleep here in the Bay Area, the team in Singapore is picking up those experiments and running with it. And so we really are almost going 24/7. That has helped us a lot as we've had to move very quickly. One of the other things that we found that was of great value is we found over the years that as we were doing early research to manufacturing and some of that technology transfer, we also duplicated equipment. And what we found is that has helped us respond, because things always go wrong as you're developing. And having the ability to have one region or location also be able to follow up and share information, that has helped us quite a bit. The third is the geography, and we're doing trials in Australia right now. We're in active conversations, do trial in Singapore, Japan, and China. Really mimicking what you described, that's probably where most of the growth for the worldwide pharmaceutical industry is, in Southeast Asia and Asia Pacific. And so we're using that also as a distribution point and making sure that our early stage research folks that started in Singapore are also now moving into the development side to support those clinical trials. It becomes a competitive advantage for us.
I think what we see often, at least just in Singapore, is versus the US, is here we've been able to largely attractive people who have come from either prior biotech companies or from, in some cases, large pharma companies. And that gives them a kind of a certain culture, I think, risk-taking, kind of moving relatively fast in R&D and making decisions. In contrast that to kind of the team in Singapore, which I think has been recruited from some top academic centers and scientific centers, relatively less of that industry experience because the biotech ecosystem is relatively earlier stage in Singapore. So really kind of encouraging kind of people to display that innate ability that they have inside, I think, to be very creative, take scientific risk, be innovative is something we try to certainly encourage out in Asia.
I think we've seen a similar experience. Our company has about half of the employees in Singapore. We came from probably more of a medical device culture, given that it's a combination product. We then brought in more industry or pharmaceutical folks here in the United States who knew what it took to take very rapid development pathways, but then make sure that you could produce those at scale. What we've been able to do is actually take the best of both of those cultures, and we're finding that we're learning from our Singapore employees, and the Singapore employees are learning from the US employees. So it's really taking the best of both of those, and that early and late stage discipline has been a pretty good marriage for us. Our goal is global regulatory program. Our goal is to launch these products in as many regions as possible and to bring down the cost of the healthcare system. That has actually been an interesting journey for us. I had to be very thoughtful about how we approach that, and this is where I think some of those diversity of opinions have helped as well. As we're talking with pharmaceutical partners, things that are valued here in the United States, given our reimbursement or healthcare system, simply don't matter. Everyone has a goal of getting patients to a better spot and bringing down costs in the healthcare systems, but there's different incentives. Clavist has always had an organization, a person, a group that we should be speaking with, and we've come out of that much smarter. How we can reinvest in the Singapore ecosystem, how we can tap the surrounding geographies as well. We've also seen the benefits of the investor network. When we talk about building out something over the next couple of years, being part of that Clavist ecosystem comes with credibility. We found it to be very collaborative, and it's been really a fortunate experience for us.
I always believe in having a very clear vision of what one is trying to achieve. It's easy to set up, but it's a day-to-day effort to make sure it works across our functions of technology, computation, data science, CRISPR-based screening, drug discovery biology, drug discovery chemistry. So having kind of that clarity of vision and the long-term purpose of such a setup, I think, is really important.